Hi there, welcome to Tim's Board Game Review, Episode 4. In this episode, Tim will be reviewing on the game called Goa. Goa is for 2 to 4 players and goes for about 90 minutes.
In Goa, each player takes on the role of a 16th century Portuguese spice trader. Your role is to try and be the most efficient at growing your spice export business through doing things such as shipping, producing spices, taxation, going on expeditions and founding new colonies. The person who is the most successful who wins the game is the person with the most victory points. So let's see what you get inside the box. You get a 12-page colour rulebook with some good work examples of gameplay. The main playing board, which has places for the money, the discarded tile piles, the 4 colonies, the extra action cards, colonist cards, ship cards, expedition cards, and spots to place the tiles which get auctioned off. There is also each player's development board, which is used to track how well developed you are in the areas of shipping, spice production, taxation, undertaking expeditions and founding new colonies. The grey success markers are used to indicate how well advanced you are in each of the 5 areas. Each player has a supply board where they are able to store spices within their plantations, on their colonies, and there are places to store the auction bidding markers. There are also money cards. Money in this game is called ducats. There are extra action cards which entitle you to an extra action, ship cards which are used to advance your development board, colonist cards which are used to assist in founding new colonies, expedition cards which can be used for varying benefits such as getting extra ships or colonists. There is the starting player flag which allows you to start each auction and entitles you to an extra action. There are the auction bidding markers. There are a whole series of game tiles with either an A on the back of them, used in the first half of the game, and then some more tiles with a B on the back, used for the second half of the game. There are the 4 colonies of Quinlan, Cochin, Madras and Calicut. Finally, there are the 5 spices which are used, which are ginger, which is white, pepper, green, cinnamon, the brown, nutmeg, the red, and cloves, the black. This is what a typical game of Goa looks like set up for 3 players. The game of Goa is split into a series of 8 rounds. There are 4 rounds in Part A and 4 in Part B. During each round there are 3 separate phases: the placement of auction markers, the tile auction, and finally the action phase. During the first phase, the placement of auction markers, each player takes turns placing auction markers onto the tiles in a continuous snake of tiles, if possible. The first player places their number 1 counter on the starting player flag, and then the other players add their tile markers leading from the flag. Once all players have placed their tiles, it is the auction phase. During this phase, people take turns at auctioning off their tile. Each player only gets a chance for 1 bid. The person who wins the auction then pays the auctioneer the money. If the auctioneer really wants to buy the tile that they are auctioning, they have to pay 1 more than the highest bid to the bank. This is a really big turnaround. Instead of, say, receiving 5 ducats from the highest bidder, you have to pay 6 ducats to the bank. So the net cost to you is 11 ducats. So generally speaking, you don't usually buy the tile you are auctioning unless you really want it. The final phase is the action phase. Each player takes turns in doing 3 actions. You may be entitled to additional actions, such as if you were the person to win the auction for the flag, which comes with an extra action card. There are a total of 6 possible actions that you can do. The first thing to do is, if possible, progress your development board. Each progression requires a specific combination of ship cards and spices. The progressions become incrementally more difficult as you go. For example, to progress the harvesting ability initially only requires 1 ship and 1 pepper, but to go to the second level requires 2 ships and a pepper and a nutmeg, and so on. As you progress your board in a specific area, it allows you to become more efficient at carrying out your other actions. The first column on the board, for example, is shipbuilding. At the start of the game, if you choose this action, you are only able to build one ship. But if you have fully progressed this to the bottom level, you are able to build 5 ships. The other 5 actions available to you are as follows. Shipbuilding, as discussed, allows you to add ships to your supply. Harvesting, which allows you to take spices from the stockpile and add them to empty fields on your plantation or colony tiles. Taxation allows you to take ducats from the bank. The expedition action allows you to take expedition cards from the expedition pile. And the final action is to attempt to found a colony. This requires a certain amount of colonists. So in summary, during every round you have the following quite tough decisions to make. You have to work out which tiles you're going to auction off. Secondly, you have to work out how much you're going to bid for each of the tiles that are auctioned. And then finally, you have to choose what actions you're going to take during the action phase. And as always, you always want more actions than are actually available to you. After 4 rounds, all of the A markers are removed and replaced with the B markers for the 4 rounds for Part B. At the end of the 4 B rounds, the person with the most victory points wins. The victory point system is predominantly a 0, 1, 3, 6, 10 system, where the number of victory points escalates as you advance various things. So the top line, for example, is worth 0 points, the first line 1, second line 3, third line 6, and the bottom line is worth 10 points. This same scoring system is also related to how many colonies you have. You can also earn victory points for having expedition cards, having the most money. The single plantations are worth 1 victory point, and a couple of the tiles also have victory points on them. A winning score is typically around about 45 points. So overall, I really enjoy playing Goa. It gives you a lot of difficult decisions that you need to make. You need to work out what pieces do I want to auction off, how much do I want to bid for pieces during the auction, and then what actions to take during the action phase. There's certainly not much downtime. There's good replayability, good strategy. It's quite fun, and the game doesn't take too long to play. So here are my ratings for this game. The components of Goa are quite good. There's a decent weight board, and the tiles are good, and the pieces and cards are all quite good quality. The luck is low to medium. There certainly is some luck and randomness in the game, but it is to a fairly low degree, and it won't usually change the outcome of the game. But sometimes you can feel a bit frustrated if it goes against you. The fun factor, look, I think it's medium. I mean, you are sort of playing 2 games in one. You've got the auction phase and the action phase, and I think that auction phase really adds that extra element of quite enjoyment of sort of trying to, how much do I bid to try and win this thing, a bit of tension and fun in the game. The complexity and depth is medium to high. There's certainly a fair bit to get your head around when you first play Goa, and the thing that's probably the most difficult to get a handle of is how much to bid for during the auction phase of the tiles. But there's certainly a number of different strategies that you can try out to try and work out how you're going to win the game. The replayability is medium. I mean, you've certainly got a number of different strategies that you can try out during each time. You can try different things, but the game does follow a certain sort of set path, and after a number of repeated plays, the game may start to lose its appeal. So overall, I give this great game a solid 8 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the review, so stay tuned. Until next time, see you later.